Hello, and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop that is sponsored by Tammy from TLC Designs. And the group is the Team Tiny Facebook group, and actually one person that graduated from the Team Tiny group because she no longer has a site that is under 1,000 viewers. TLC Designs is an online store that has stamps and papers, and some of them are the real products and some of them are digital. So Tammy donated one digital stamp set and paper pack to each of the members here that are participating in the hop. And the paper that I'm using is from the Blooming Medley digital paper pack. And I printed these out on my printer, and I use a Canon Pixma printer. Now this paper came, I believe, in an 8.5 times 5.5 version so that you could use it for slimline cards, or you could cut it out and it would work for two A2 size card panels. And when I printed it out the one way, it put a border around the edge. So I'm going to solve that by going over it with Distress ink. And I cut both of these out with a Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle die, so it'll have stitching around the sides. And also I cut that not quite in half. I wanted it to be a little bit off-centered so I can combine the flowered with the wood panel. The ink I'm using is Distress Oxide Chip Sapphire, and that goes really well with this paper. It's kind of a bluish purple, so almost a periwinkle color, and I think the Chip Sapphire blends in well with that. So since I couldn't get my printer to print to the edge, which I don't know why, because if I did a 8.5 sheet and put it on, it would, but then it increased the size of the image, so it didn't really look the right scale for an A2 size card. But I think this method, putting the Distress Oxide around the edges, makes it look polished. The images I'm using are from the Outdoor Friends digital stamp set, and they look like fairies that are camping. It's really cute. So I arranged these on my Word program into little scenes. And it's great to do because you can arrange them as if you're doing masking, but you don't have to because you can use a word processing program. And I'll link a video that I made before on how to do that. And then I cut them out. I actually used paper that is Copic friendly, and then I cut them out with my Lawn Fawn Fancy Scalloped Circle Stackables, and then I'm going around the edges with the Distress Oxide. Next, I'm using my Scotch ATG gun to attach my pattern paper, my digital paper, to the front of my card. Now, this is part of a hop, and there is a prize being offered, so be sure to watch the rest of the video, and I'll tell you how you can enter for a prize. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the hop. Next, I'm trimming off a little bit of the edge of the card because it wasn't probably quite exactly an A2 size card. So I trim that off so the white doesn't show. And then I'm taking a rectangle. I cut out a rectangle with my Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle die and cut that in strips because I just really want the stitching on the side. And then I'm going to take my scalloped scissors to cut both sides of the rectangle so that I have a scalloped edge to kind of go with the circle. And then I'm taking my 1/8" hole punch to go in the center of each of the little scallops so it kind of mimics the circle that my image is on. Then I go over this piece with my Distress Oxide, and then I attach it with my Scotch ATG gun. For the next step, I'm coloring my images with my Copic Markers, and I'm just showing making one card, although I did have two images, so I'll show you both cards at the end. Also, I'll speed through this process, and I just put the cap at the top so you can see what colors I'm using. I'm kind of new to Copic coloring. I'm not an expert yet, and I'm still learning. As I mentioned earlier, this is a YouTube hop with Team Tiny. and it's a hashtag driven hop. So to get to the other videos, you just type in hashtag to live creatively hop, or click on the link below where it says hashtag to live creatively hop, and that'll take you to the other videos. Tammy from TLC Designs, which stands for To Live Creatively, has donated a $10 gift card to her shop, and in order to win, you just need to comment on the videos. So the more you hop along and leave comments, the more chances you have to win. And you need to enter by September 4th. So on this hop, you'll get some more ideas of how to use digital papers and digital stamps, and get some ideas on how to use the different images that are available at her store. Tammy also wanted to let you know, to get some more inspiration and to help challenge your card making skills, she has a monthly challenge. So there's a monthly TLC Designs challenge that runs from the 15th of every month to the 14th of the next month, and this month's theme is birthdays. And we'd love it if you could join us on the TLC Designs Creative Sharing Facebook group to get some card making inspiration and consider joining in on the challenge. You can win prizes to the TLC Designs shop by participating. The links to the Facebook group and the TLC Designs shop are in the description box below. Now, usually when I'm doing shading with my Copic markers, I'll start with the darkest color and then go to light. I've been taking some courses from Kit and Clouder, and that's helping me, although I haven't taken too many, so I need to get back to doing that. And she says if you start with the darker color first and move to the light, then you actually use less ink. So that's what I try to do. Some people prefer to start with the lightest color and then go to the dark. And I was having a little trouble with this scene because since it's a nighttime scene, I usually think of the sun shining down and where it'll hit is what'll be lighter. But of course, the only light would mostly be coming from the moon, if there is one, and the firelight. So I wasn't really sure. But I did want to add different colors for shading. Now, since some of these images are small, sometimes I just use one color. Now, the version of Copics I mostly use is the Copic sketch markers because they have the brush nib, and that's better for card making in general. However, I do find some of my images are very small and the brush nib is very hard to get in the small areas. So I accidentally bought the original markers once, and they have the fine point, and those are easier to use. Now, for the sketch markers, you can buy a bullet nib. And I've been purchasing those. They come in a pack of 3, and just replacing gradually my chisel tip with the bullet nibs. And then that makes it easier to get in the smaller spots. Another question I know I had when I was looking for a printer, because my printer died when I was looking into doing digital stamps, and people recommended doing a laser printer, and there's different reasons for that, as far as the Copics or alcohol markers won't cause the ink to bleed so much on a laser printer. But I had an old laser printer that Mom had from her office, and actually I found that bled, and you can tell especially when you use the lighter colors. So that might be basically true, but the laser printer I had actually bled more than a regular printer. So I looked into it. I ended up getting a Canon Pixma, and I haven't had any trouble with that. If you're using alcohol markers like Copics, you want to make sure you're using alcohol ink-friendly paper, and depending on your printers, some can't handle the heavier papers. When I looked into it, I got a Canon Pixma that had a backload paper tray, and that usually can take heavier paper. So far all the paper I've used has worked, although I usually don't use anything over 100-pound card weight on my printer. The other thing that helps is if you use normal quality printing instead of high quality printing, so that it doesn't bleed as much that way. Now that I got my picture colored, I'm just gluing it to the front. I do like to use glue because you can move it around a little bit, and also you can get into these little nooks and crannies that you can't with the tape. Next, I'm adding my embellishments to jazz up the card, and I really liked how this turned out. I added my crystal stickles to the fairy wings to make them sparkly, and I added that also to my other card, and I'll show you a picture of that card at the end of the video. Then I'm using my Glossy Accents and adding that to my ladybug and the fire because I wanted to make those shiny. And then I'm just using my Glossy Accents to glue on some embellishments, and this is just a mix from Buttons and Galore. I don't remember where I got it, and it's called Sailor Sky, but it had some little beads and things in here that were kind of periwinkle color and some glitter that was star-shaped. So I added those to the front of my card, and I find that Glossy Accents really holds things like that onto the card. I'll leave some links below to the products that I used in making this card, and some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission for any sales that those links generate, and that helps support my website. Also, I have the links to TLC Designs so that you can find these cute fairy stamps and also support her site. And thank you for sponsoring these videos. Want to make sure you hop along and leave comments so you have your chance to win the gift card to TLC Designs. Here I'm just using some white enamel accents to add to the front of my card panel. And then I'm just adding a few extra embellishments. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a like. Also, if you're not a subscriber, I really would appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a wonderful day.